Well, good afternoon, Yellow Army, and welcome to another edition of Inside Plainmoor with the man himself, of course, United manager Gary Johnson. Good afternoon, Gary. How's your afternoon been?
Good afternoon. Quite nice. It's quite nice in the bay. It's a bit crowded for a lockdown, but it's very sunny, and we had a good training session this morning. It was one of the first mornings we was able to train in with a little bit of sunshine and with a little bit of less wind. But yeah, so it was a good training session this morning. I'm pleased we got through it.
Brilliant. Now, as we've going to touch upon in a moment, the BT Sport cameras, of course, will be rolling into Plainmoor to provide home coverage of the home match against Halifax this weekend. Now, with the match kicking off at 5:20 instead of 3 p.m, does that affect yours and the team's preparations at all?
Not really. We're used to it. I mean, I'm used to it over the years. You have to, play at different times if you're on the TV. And I think the lads will, they won't know it's 5:20 by the time we kick off. So, we'll just adjust and we'll make sure we're ready at the right time, and get them, as you say, normally it'll be a 3 o'clock or a 7:45 or sometimes a 7 o'clock. But they can get themselves mentally ready, and they've got to be used to that, because it might be the sort of, for a few weeks yet that, there's all sorts of times happening in the Premier League and EFL. So, no, we just have to get on with it. That's what it is. And we're pleased, there's a TV program on us, if you like, the game's live on BT. It's a shame for the streamers, of course. That's one of those things you can't have both, as it were. So we'll try, and hopefully they'll listen to our radio station and get it on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Still need the Yellow Army support more than ever before now. Obviously, Saturday's game's important. They've all been important for a few weeks now, and they seem to get bigger and bigger as it goes on. With many neutrals watching Torquay perhaps for the first time this weekend, does that apply any extra pressure? Do you feel that at all, or do you think players will, or does it provide any extra emphasis on the result at all?
I think the game itself has got to, have a big emphasis on how important this one is, because, obviously, by 5:20, all the other teams in the league would have played another game. Some may have got a little bit closer to us, and we've got to make sure that we totally focus on the game at that time. I don't think when the lads are playing, I think they shouldn't be anyway, thinking, I'm on the telly, and I'll give me girlfriend a little wave or my mum a little wave. I think, they can, the only extra pressure is that I suppose they know that the football world's looking, and everybody wants to impress the football world, if you like, including the manager, the coaches, the staff. You want to promote the football club. And so that's where maybe it becomes a little bit nervy, because you want to make sure that your reputation stays intact. You want to make sure that all the other teams that are watching it are looking at us and thinking they're a good team. We can see why they're top of the league. So it just means there's a bigger number actually watching the game. But when the game starts, none of us should be thinking about the TV until after. And then it's always nice to be the winning manager that gets the interview.
Absolutely. And of course, it's not a position that we haven't been in the last couple of seasons. Obviously, last season, we beat Alshot 2-0 in front of the cameras at Plainmoor. And even more emphatically, earlier on this season, travelled up to Hartlepool and produced one of our best performances of the season, winning 5-0 up there in the late kickoff.
Well, let's hope it's a bit of an omen for us. It's to be fair, we've been winning without being on the telly as well. We've had some very good results early on. So I don't think it's necessarily the TV, but it certainly won't faze us. I'm pretty sure that won't happen. So with a bit of luck, the boys will be themselves and make sure they produce a match-winning performance.
So you mentioned that the sun has finally come out on the English Riviera again. How has training gone so far this week?
Yeah, this week's been good because we've had, of course, we've had the extra sort of days, you've had the extra time for a couple of the lads to earn their fitness or get their fitness, but not just get their fitness, but earn their place in the squad by training at least for 2 or 3 days before being available for selection. So, a couple have made it and a couple haven't. So we just got to, all the opposition managers always look at the manager's interviews, the opposition manager's interviews. So I can't give you any clues, but at the same time, I'm happy with the group that's going into this game.
Okay, well, we won't pressure any further on that one then, Gaffer.
Well, you can, but you won't get an answer.
No, my questions are bad enough as it is, so I won't go down that path then.
No,
Now, one of the possible advantages, like you just touched on, Gary, is that with last week's game at Woking unfortunately being called off, it has given you a few extra days with the players. Is that how you've seen it? Trying to make a positive out of it?
Absolutely. I mean, we never try and make a negative out of anything. We were disappointed not to play, but of course, their pitch wasn't playable, so you can't play it. The referee went there and looked at the pitch, and we trust the referees. They want their expenses for the game, so they wouldn't mind playing the game. But if it can't be played, then obviously it can't be played. And unfortunately, you have to fit it in a little bit later on. And in the pandemic, everybody's trying to fit games in at the moment, and it's going to get very difficult if we do have a couple more cancellations, whether it be through the weather or through COVID or through maybe one team in particular that is not wishing to play at the moment. The National League is, I suppose, like every other league, it's all relative. So most of the teams in all the leagues are similar to each other. Anyone on their day, and I know we say it a million times, but it's absolutely true, can beat anyone else if someone's not on their game, if you like. So, we really have got to sort of keep that in mind. What's gone is gone. It's nice because you only get the percentages after a little while, and it's nice to think back at those and think, well, you know what, we've won quite a few games. We're still on 2 points per game. We in between a couple of poor results, if you like, we should have beaten Wealdstone with all due respect, but anyway, it ended up 1-1. We had a poor game at home to Altrincham, but in between that, we went to Boreham Wood and got a good result there in the trophy. We got a good result in the trophy. It's a tricky one at Southport because that was the only competition that they were playing for at that time. So, we're not going to get carried away with anything. We don't get too high when we win and we don't get too low when we lose. We're just going to, play a straight back and make sure that, we approach every game like it's a cup final. But we definitely approach every game with that game in mind rather than going too far ahead or too far back.
Now, during the last month, there was a number of new faces, or in the case of Joe Lewis, a returning face coming back to Plainmoor. How have they been settling in as time's going on, especially during this gap between games?
Yeah, no, they listen. Joe, he knows exactly what we're about, and he's, he settled in very, very quickly. So, and obviously he's been playing all the games. A couple of the new lads have still got to work out what we do, the mental side of it, the physical side of it, the passion side of it, the commitment side of it, all those things that, sometimes you have to grow into a little bit. You can't just, suddenly be a raging bull when somebody asks you to be. You got to know how to be that raging bull. You got to know how to commit yourself. What are you committing yourself to? Have you got it in you? All those sort of things. And I have to try and bring that out of certainly ones that come new to us, and some crack it and some don't. And the ones that crack it stay longer, and the ones that don't, obviously don't last so long.
Now, our opponents Halifax are on Saturday. They're no strangers to us, of course. We've played them 3 times since we've returned to the National League. Earlier on this season, of course, Connor's late goal got victory up at the Shea. But Halifax are a side that got to playoffs last year, and they're within shooting distance again this term. What are you expecting from them on Saturday?
Well, again, you know, you always say you have to respect these teams because when we do a review, as they would do on us, you know, you look for their strong points, you look for their weak points, you look at it alongside our strong points. Will that make them weaker? Will our weak ones make them stronger? You know, that it's you know, myself, Louis Burtonshaw and Downsy, we put a lot of work into the build up, if you like, the review of the opposition coming up, and then we cut it down to little bits and pieces that we can show the lads, and then obviously you work on it in training, etc., etc. And they have got a game that can be dangerous. You know, as I say, all teams have. They got beat at Barnet in midweek, so. But Barnet are improving, so you know, Halifax should be disappointed with that, and they'll be looking to you know, pick a win up as soon as they can to get back into the I think they're just in the lower half, and they're looking to get back in the top half. So you know, we'll respect them, sure enough, and you know, it's about our game as well. And as we always say to the lads, however, boys, even though they've got this, and this, it's about us, it's about our game, get our game going, and we're difficult to beat.
Absolutely, Gaffer. And like you say, that Barnet result just it sums up the division altogether, doesn't it? It's a place that we won 2-0 only a few weeks ago, and obviously now they've beat Halifax. Anyone can beat anyone on their day. So how is your Saturday going to pan out? Are you going to be keeping an eye on any of the matches that will be taking place, all the results? Will that affect your team talk at all or anything like that, or is it just about that?
No, we try not to. I mean, the lads will have a little sneaky look at their phone, probably a couple of the results that might be there. But we'll try. We always try to just totally focus on our game, and then we'll worry about it afterwards. Because you know, you can get complacent if there's been a couple of good results away from our game. You know, with some of the teams that are up there with us, and then you know, you can get disappointed and put yourself under pressure if they've all had good results. So I think, you know, what we normally do is just prepare for our game, and then when we finish, you know, we'll have a look at where we are in the league table, not necessarily that, but where the other teams are and how they got on.
Well, the very best of luck on Saturday, Gaffer, and hopefully by 7 o'clock the league table makes very nice viewing indeed. Just before we go, though, we've got a couple of messages that we thought you'd like to interact with. First of all, it's a 60th birthday on March the 1st to a long-standing Torquay supporter called Jerry Gillespie. As I say, he's been going to Plainmoor for some time now, and he's actually now talked his son and daughter into becoming Plainmoor regulars themselves when crowds obviously can come in. Valued member of the Yellow Army, all three of them. Just wondered if you'd like to wish Jerry a happy birthday, Gary.
Yeah, of course I would. Well, happy birthday, Jerry. I think I saw, is he 60 years of age?
Yes. Yeah.
So he'll be getting his jab soon as well, so that'd be good. It's great that his son and daughter is, you know, bringing them to the game, and hopefully when Boris does his speech soon, you know, he does his roadmap, he might be giving us that news of supporters, or some supporters can come back into stadiums, and that'd be fantastic, because we really want our supporters with them, like Jerry and his children, to, you know, to be at the games live, and then we can all interact and be a proper football club again. So, but anyway, happy birthday, Jerry, and hopefully you haven't got to wait too soon to be back at Plainmoor with your kids.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jerry, from everybody at Torquay United. And finally, we also thought that you might just want to join us and everybody at the club for wishing Alan Slough all the best. I understand he's recovering in hospital at the moment. Now, he was a coach at Plainmoor during the 1980s. Also the grandfather, of course, of United defender Louis Slough. However, I understand you have your own memories of Alan as a player, don't you, Gaffer?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, first of all, you know, we wish him well. Louis Slough, I know I spoke to Louis yesterday about his grandfather, and I was talking to Louis about it, that I was a Fulham supporter for many years. I lived in Fulham, I grew up in Fulham, and he was a player in a magnificent Fulham team, and it was at the time when me and you wouldn't have had a chance, but he used to have a big bubble haircut. And that was the that was the fashion at that point. And he was a great player. He was very fit and strong, and hopefully that fitness and strength will see him through the next few weeks. So we wish him well. It's a lovely family. It's a football family, and hopefully he'll recover and keep a close eye on his grandson Louis, because Louis is a professional footballer similar to his granddad.
So all the best, Alan, from everybody here at Talking.
All the best.
Well, that wraps things up for another week then, Yellow Army. So thank you again for joining us. And as always, from myself and the Gaffer, take care, keep safe, and we'll see you all again very, very soon.
See you later.